Story 1. When we got married, we ended up at the hotel bar for the after party. My friend took a video camera around the bar and asked people if they had any advice for the newly married couple. An older woman looked straight into the camera and said, "Don't keep score. Great marriage advice. Great life advice." Story 2. The single most important decision you will ever make in your life is the person you will marry. It is not the closeness of your friends, parents, or siblings. It is your spouse. They carry the most influence on whether you are happy in life. They will be the future parent of your children or not. They will be the most influential in all major life decisions. Where you live, where you work, who your friends are, how often you socialize, where you go on vacation, where your children go to school, who influences your children socially and shapes them as adults, your own worldviews, who you vote for, how you practice religion, how you spend and think about money, what you eat, how active you are, how you celebrate milestones, what kind of vices you have, and the way you conduct every waking moment of your life. For better or worse, they have the most power over you. So do not make this decision lightly. Do not get married just for the title or because you feel that you have been together long enough that you should do it. Think long and hard about lying next to this person when you are 90 years old, the family you will create together, and make sure you absolutely love what you see at the end of your life together. If you feel indifferent or are remotely unsure about the future with them, do not proceed. Story 3. That marriage isn't a perfect balance. Sometimes one partner can only give 25, while the other has to give 75. It's rarely a balancing act and more about supporting each other through the difficult days. You also have to look past every annoying thing your spouse may do and still love them. Story 4. I have been married to the same woman for 32 years. It's better to be with someone you truly love than anything else in the world. Get to know the person you are interested in. Become friends first, as it becomes more important over time. Trust is essential. Don't cheat. If you can't remain faithful, then it's better not to get married, to spare everyone the struggle. Tell your spouse you love them every day. Discuss everything, even if you know you won't agree, because keeping it in is just a ticking time bomb. Pitch in and help each other. Maybe it won't work, but it has clearly worked for me. I hope you get to experience this too. Story 5. Do not confuse the effort required in marriage with the belief that marriage should be hard work. If it is making your life harder instead of easier, something is wrong. Many people remain in unhappy marriages because they believe that is how marriage should be. Story 6. Advice from my grandma that resonated with me. Learn to deal with boredom. This doesn't mean you or your spouse are boring people or that you're bored with your partner. It means you will face boredom with day-to-day tasks. Keeping the house clean, doing laundry, washing dishes, and filing taxes can sometimes lead to periods where neither of you has anything planned or feels excited about what's coming up. Occasionally, you might find yourselves lazing around all day. Being married doesn't eliminate the mundane parts of adult life. You still have to handle those responsibilities. It's not the end of the relationship. It's just life. Story 7. You don't have to spend a lot of money on a wedding. Save that money for your honeymoon. A wedding is just an expensive party. It doesn't have to be a huge event. Story 8. Always remember the goal: to love one another. Sometimes we forget this when we get angry. A little reminder about the goal goes a long way in bringing everyone back to center. Story 9. When you argue, remember that you love each other. Communicate with love and try to understand each other's perspectives. Story 10. You are stronger together. Do not cheat. Do not hide money. When you combine your time, money, and resources with someone else, the growth rate is remarkable. Story 11. Never choose someone based on what you perceive their potential to be. Choose the person with whom you would be happy if they remained the same. Story 12. It gets better over time if you want it to. To explain, my wife and I used to argue quite a bit. We had lived together, but somehow after marriage, the arguments became more intense. My father told me that being married is like putting two rocks in a tumbler. Over time, the edges get smoothed out on both rocks. It was true in my case. Just give it time and it gets better, in my opinion. Story 13. It takes a lot of work. You must love that person enough to learn the intricacies of how they need to be loved. supported, and cared for. A relationship is a living thing that you must nourish and maintain, something you should always be aware of and build together. Additionally, you must love yourself enough to expect and accept the same from the other person. Story 14. Question from an unmarried person. I read somewhere that a couple used to wear party hats when they argued because it made them take it less seriously and become less heated. Couples, have you ever tried anything like this and did it work? Story 15. Marriage does not magically make you like each other more. Commitment, communication, and patience do that. Also, do not feel like you need to rush into getting married. It is just a status change for the government. Story 16. It's easier than you have made it out to be in your mind. Young people today elevate marriage into a significant event with countless complications. In reality, as long as both partners are willing to communicate and make an effort, it's an endless sleepover with your best friend. There will be challenging days, as life always has. However, if you know and love each other, it is easier than you think. Story 17. That marriage isn't an endgame. Many unmarried people believe that this is where their life ends, whether because their goal is to get married or because they think marriage means surrendering their freedom. Both beliefs are incorrect because marriage isn't an endgame. Instead, it is the beginning of a new partnership. The rules are different, the goals are different, and the enjoyment is different. As anyone who enjoys playing games with friends knows, the partner you choose is the biggest determining factor in how enjoyable the game is. The same applies to marriage. Story 18. Don't go to bed angry. It's terrible advice. Being tired and staying up arguing will only make everything worse. Most of the time, setting things aside until the next morning is a better idea. Story 19. Marry someone with whom you have a strong connection. Choose a partner not merely because of the years you have invested, your dislike of being alone, or their attractiveness, wealth, or popularity. You need a friend and an ally, and they should feel the same about you. Story 20. Pre-marriage. It's okay to let go of something that isn't right for you, even if you have invested time or resources. Trust your instincts. I spent much of my younger years kissing frogs, but none of them turned into princes. Story 21. That aside, a relationship before and after marriage should feel more or less the same. Love and commitment come from the people, not the institution. Story 22. You will need to make sacrifices. There are times when you need to compromise for the sake of the relationship. This might mean giving up some of your personal goals or preferences, but it is about finding a balance. Story 23. The person you marry will continue to grow and change, not just physically but also in hobbies and interests, as the years go by, and so will you. It is a beautiful thing to have a front row seat to this. Just ensure that the person you are marrying shares the same core values and beliefs as you. Keep no secrets and maintain a relationship where what is yours is also theirs. Above all, marry your best friend. Best friends first, lovers second. Trials and hardships are inevitable. The feelings of love and romance may fade in and out, especially during difficult times, but you will always have your best friend. That love runs much deeper and can reignite romantic feelings when they seem lost during certain seasons. Story 24. My mother gave the following 2 pieces of advice, which I found invaluable. You marry the person for who they are now. Never marry a future version of them. They will never be that future version. Never let their incompetence lead to you taking on more work. This was her way of calling out weaponized incompetence as a mechanism for avoiding responsibilities like changing diapers, managing finances, or understanding your feelings. My own advice is to wake up every day and make a conscious choice. You choose to stay loyal to your spouse or you don't choose them, and you should be honest with them as soon as you make that decision. People change, but rarely in the ways you expected or hoped. You can either love who they have become or let them go. Story 25. If you both don't get good sleep while sharing the same bed, consider sleeping apart. Your relationship will be much easier if you are both well rested. Story 26. Us versus the problem, not me versus you. Learn each other's love languages. Go to therapy even when you are happy. Choosing whom you marry is the most important decision you will ever make. So do not ignore the red flags and hope they will just disappear. Story 27. I am not married, but something I heard from Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was happily married for many years, has always stuck in my head. On her wedding day, she received a piece of advice from her mother-in-law. In every good marriage, it helps sometimes to be a little deaf. Story 28. You're not looking for your other half. You should first focus on making yourself complete, and then seek another complete person. Not someone you can fix, nor someone who can fix you. Story 29. Marriage does not change anything. If you think your life will change after marriage or that you will feel more connected, it won't happen. You will be the same individuals, and your life will remain unchanged from the day before. Do not expect your partner to be more committed or to spend more time with you after the wedding. If you believe marriage will fix your relationship, you may soon find yourself searching for divorce lawyers. Marriage is simply the act of celebrating your desire to stay together. Nothing more, nothing less. I do not mean to discourage you from marrying. I simply believe many people have unrealistic expectations about what marriage truly is. Story 30. Trust is the most important aspect of a relationship. Do not jeopardize it. Avoid treating your spouse like a criminal. Do not go through their phones or personal belongings and expect the same in return. My husband and I can go through each other's phones and emails, but why would we? We either trust each other or we do not. Story 31. It's not 50-50. It has become the most impactful on me. My poor husband is more like 90-10 right now, with me being postpartum, and I never knew I could love him this much. I just hope I can contribute more before he gets burnt out. Story 32. No ambushes. If your partner does something you dislike, either address it as soon as possible or simply forget about it. Holding on to grievances for the next conflict is the opposite of loving someone, and no good can come from it. Story 33. Marriage is not a Hallmark movie. Things can be boring, mundane, and difficult at times. You don't feel butterflies in your stomach while taking out the trash or cooking lunch every day. Marriage is a partnership. You are always a team, a loving team. Sometimes it may not feel like you are in love, but that doesn't mean there is no love. Story 34. How wonderful it is when you find the right person. Every day becomes hilarious when you share it with someone who has the same sense of humor. Your person makes every day, good or bad, worth living. Story 35. Marriage is not the end goal. It does not have to be a goal at all. You can be perfectly whole and complete in life without ever marrying. If you do decide to get married, you should be the most whole and complete version of yourself before doing so. Marriage will not complete you. It is an unrealistic expectation and a burden to place on a partner. Understand yourself, experience life first, and then if you choose, find a life partner. Or don't, that is just as reasonable. Story 36. I believe most people are overly selective about the wrong things when looking for a partner. Marriage isn't extraordinary because you find the perfect partner with the ideal job, appearance, taste in music, and identical hobbies. Marriage is amazing because you find a good person with whom you work well and genuinely enjoy spending time. My husband and I have completely different hobbies. We're basically living paycheck to paycheck, facing various health challenges, and dealing with aging bodies. Yet, I love him more each day. He is my home and comfort. Even if we end up homeless under a bridge, I want to be under the same bridge with him. Being in his arms, feeling the softness of his belly and the strength of his arms, is the best place I've ever known on this earth. When money is tight, intimacy fades, and the world becomes difficult, he is the person I want to be with. You don't achieve this connection by focusing on superficial aspects like career, income, appearance, or hobbies. Look for good character. Seek someone who inspires you and is inspired by you. Find someone worth caring for and protecting. Someone you want by your side on your toughest days. Story 37. Thank your partner for the things they do and forgive them for the things they don't. You are not perfect all the time and they won't be either. Laugh things off together, and you will be much happier. Story 38. Marriage is great. For many good reasons, people often hear about marriage being hard, but my husband has been the best, easiest, and most straightforward relationship in my life for 15 years. Life is challenging, but marriage should enhance your life, not complicate it. Story 39. Take separate vacations. My mother-in-law suggested this to us years ago, and we followed her advice for 25 years. My husband is currently hiking in Italy with 4 friends. I will join him in 2 weeks, but will spend my first week doing what I want. Then we will explore the coast together. It is an excellent way to experience things that you can share or keep to yourself, as these solo moments can be life-changing. Story 40. Communication keeps everyone aware of wants and needs. No one is a mind reader. If you can't bring it up, then it may not be that important. You might feel angry or sad, but it's important to talk about it. Story 41. It's you and your partner against the problem, not you against them. Unless they are the problem, then that's a different conversation. If something is out of both your control, don't take it out on each other. Work together and be a team. That's how you grow stronger. You also need good communication to achieve this. Always discuss things and listen to each other. Story 42. You are also marrying the in-laws. My husband and I are fortunately on the same page for now, but we have several very dramatic in-laws on both sides. Their bad behavior has caused fights between us before. These are people who will continue to age and need more care, and we will eventually need to make tough financial decisions. I hope that managing their end of life isn't what drives us apart. Story 43. Being married makes you more willing to work on maintaining the relationship. It is not just a formal document. Story 44. Respect for each other is the most important pillar. There will be times when you question if you are still in love or even like your spouse, and during those turbulent times, the marriage will survive if you maintain respect. If respect is lost, the relationship will crumble. Story 45. When your spouse hurts you, do not assume they intended to cause you pain. You should never believe that your spouse intentionally wants to hurt you. Story 46. Be kind to each other. If you would not treat a stranger that way, what makes it acceptable for someone you love? Story 47. There is nothing wrong with sleeping in separate bedrooms, especially if you do not share the same work schedule. Story 48. A good marriage requires hard work, but it shouldn't be overwhelming. It's true that you need to invest significant effort. You must check your own ego and be quick to forgive while working together as a team. However, it should not become so difficult that you lose yourself, experience burnout, or develop animosity toward each other. Some aspects should fit together naturally without excessive effort. If your stress levels are constantly at their peak, both you and your relationship will suffer. Story 49. Don't expect any fundamental changes to occur just because they are married. You are committing yourself to this person as they are. If they do not clean up after themselves now, you will experience the same behavior after marriage. Every small argument you have now will continue to happen in the future. Story 50. Everybody seems to be giving marriage advice here, which is okay. However, the original poster did not actually ask for marriage advice. They asked what married people want single people to know. In reality, I do not want you to know anything specific. More so, I observe single people and recognize where I was 10 years ago, but from a different perspective. When you are single, it's easy to believe you are being as thoughtful and selfless as anyone could expect from a person. However, once I got married and had children, I began to understand that I was quite self-centered and selfish as a single person. I gave of myself only as much as I wanted to, often not being there for those who really needed my help or even noticing that they needed my help. Or maybe that's just me. It wouldn't shock me to learn that either. Story 51. I'm not married, but my grandparents celebrated their 50th anniversary a few years ago. My grandfather's advice was, the grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. Story 52. Being in love is easy. Being married is choosing each other every day, even when you are tired, annoyed, or in a bad mood. Story 53. I thought this would be a post about what we do that upsets married people. The realization that it was meant to give us marriage advice has made me chuckle. As a single person, the thing I wish married individuals knew is that they are not great at promoting the concept of marriage. Story 54. Marriage is a compromise, but an unusual one. You put your spouse first and they put you first. That's where the real rewards in life are. Married for 28 years. Story 55. Renew your love every day by remembering why you love the other person. Never take them for granted. If you feel you are drifting apart, address it immediately. Indifference often leads to the demise of the marriage. Story 56. You may lose some life skills. You and your partner will divide up tasks, both planned and unplanned, and may forget how to complete them. When your partner passes away, you might feel temporarily lost as you will need to take on these tasks yourself. Try to stay mentally sharp. Story 57. Sex will come and go, and that's normal. You will not be able to sustain the frequency of sex you had in your early 20s for life, and that's also normal. I notice many younger people on social media becoming anxious about having sex infrequently and mistakenly believing their relationship is over. It shouldn't be that way. Life circumstances like young children, illness, chronic pain, caring for an elderly parent, excessive work, and stress can all make sex more challenging. Choose a partner who understands this. If you make sex the most important aspect of your relationship, it is likely to fail. Story 58. Make an agreement that you will not make certain plans or decisions without discussing them with your partner. I am amazed by the number of people on Reddit who have made decisions about parents moving in, babysitting, lending money, or making major purchases without any discussion. Your partner should be the first person you consult about important matters. My husband and I talked about everything. He passed away 18 years ago, and I still miss him every day. Story 59. If you are a man and your wife loves you, supports you, and makes an effort for you and the kids, please learn to let the small things go. The same applies if you are a woman. Story 60. If they do something unacceptable, I will walk away. It's not as easy as it sounds. I guess this applies to dating as well. The advice is to set your standards and boundaries before discussing marriage. Talk about important topics such as where to live, finances, children, religion, and caring for aging parents or dealing with long-term illnesses. If you feel that you love your partner excessively, consider a prenuptial agreement with an infidelity clause. Story 61. Getting married doesn't necessarily bring you closer to your partner or enhance your love for one another. For some, it changes nothing, while for others, marriage can complicate things. It is not essential unless it serves an insurance purpose. If you are truly willing to involve the government in your marriage and make it official, you are already united in spirit, and that is what truly matters. If you choose to proceed, consider obtaining a comprehensive prenuptial agreement that outlines your likelihood of divorce. This can make separating much easier. Story 62. 2 things. Your disagreements don't have to be solved in one sitting, and more complex problems shouldn't be. It's good and okay to take a pause when things get tense, when you are getting stuck, or when someone is feeling really emotional. Commit to picking it back up at a predetermined time, and let both of you take some time to think about the discussion before coming back to it. It's usually easier to express feelings and consider them versus the situation if you're not trying to rush the problem solving. This approach allows you to solve issues as a team. Don't be adversarial in your relationships. This also applies to other major relationships, not just marriage. If you think that over the course of a long relationship people don't change in notable ways, then you're in for a big surprise even if core aspects stay the same. People grow and change, and terrible things can happen. If you don't have the patience to fall in love again with your partner in a non-abusive, non-toxic relationship every few years, your relationship will be stagnant. Story 63. Don't get married just because you love someone. Marry them because you want to spend the rest of your life with them. Life can be unpredictable, and sometimes people fall out of love. However, it is commitment that keeps a relationship strong. If you do not get along with them, do not believe they are a good person, or do not fully trust them, do not marry them. Story 64. Life will become challenging at times for various reasons. When that happens, you have 2 options. Start blaming each other or work as a team and face it together. The most honest yet cliché advice I can give is to marry your best friend. Romantic love has its highs and lows, but if your foundation is built on true friendship, you can weather any storm. Story 65. Always have the important discussions before marriage regarding children and finances. If your values do not align, do not marry them with the hope that they will change. Story 66. I tell all my single friends this often. There are three people in a marriage: you, me, and us. It is important to make room for all three and to set aside time for each other. You have nothing to contribute to the relationship if you do not experience anything meaningful on your own. Carving out special time to be together in a busy life is essential. Story 67. You can ask your partner to do something for you or tell them how to do it, but not both. That was the best advice I received when I was engaged. Story 68. Love changes, and that is a feature, not a flaw. You cannot expect to love your partner in the same way 20 years into a relationship as you do 20 hours or 20 days into it. Your love grows and evolves. Sometimes it is a burning, consuming bonfire. At other times, it is a cozy, warm blanket. Both are okay. Both are good. Just remember that your love needs to be nurtured and tended. It takes work, an investment of time, emotion, and commitment to keep it alive. Learn to enjoy not only the different stages of love, but also the work of maintaining it. Story 69. No matter how kind your spouse is, they will eventually do something that really hurts you. Learn to forgive. Story 70. Everyone is giving advice to unmarried people with the impression that they want to be married. Nothing applies. Story 71. The difference between there and they are. Oh, and you're and you are. It doesn't really matter if you are married or not. Figure it out. By the way, that was the correct use of you are. Story 72. Stay away from Reddit and avoid reading or posting irrelevant content. Believing anything here can quickly harm your marriage. Listen to your parents and other married couples. Story 73. Relationships require hard work, and all parties involved need to consistently invest time and effort. Regardless of how intense an argument may have been, do not encourage the children to take sides. Keep them out of it. Story 74. It's okay to go off and do things by yourself. You absolutely should not do everything together when you are not working. Having personal time is fine and honestly healthier. You don't have to share the same interests. You can hang out with friends without the other person. If you both work from home, I highly suggest working in different rooms and taking breaks on different schedules, leaving the house for a few minutes as necessary. Living closely together is not healthy and will lead to more issues than it solves. Also, one of you may roll over and go to sleep while the other reads social media for some time after the other is asleep. If you see this, by the way, hi, love you. Story 75. Run your own race. I have seen couples who appear very happy online be completely miserable in real life. Communicate, do not be overly defensive, and continue to communicate. Story 76. Communication is key. You need to talk about everything. If you're not ready to communicate openly and honestly with your partner, don't get married. Story 77. When your partner wants to vent, ask if you are expected to listen and support or to provide advice. Story 78. Marry someone who shares your definition of clean. This is particularly important when children are involved in the future. You might think it is a minor issue and that you can tolerate or teach your partner, but often this approach does not work. Story 79. Unless there is a tax benefit, being married is no different from being in a cohabiting relationship. Everything is the same except for the spending on a wedding and an official document stating your marriage. The commitment between the two remains the same. You can have everything in a cohabiting relationship except perhaps the tax benefit. The experiences might vary based on the country and culture you live in. Story 80. Getting married isn't just about the wedding. It's about being together and celebrating your love. Marriage means being there for each other through every challenging day and every joyful day, sharing those experiences together. Sometimes the difficult days can feel overwhelming, but they will pass. Always communicate with one another. By communicate, I mean engage in calm and reciprocal dialogue where both talking and listening are valued. Avoid conversation if it will only lead to yelling and prevent true understanding. I have been with my husband for 15 years, and there are days that can be very tough. However, we make our best effort to communicate and work through our challenges. Don't try to change who your spouse is. Love them as they are. Story 81. Marry your best friend. Don't focus on attraction first and then discover their personality. In all my failed relationships, I was attracted to someone initially and then gradually learned about their true nature. I likely would not have chosen them as a close friend if they had been of the opposite sex. My husband and I were friends for years before we realized we were becoming attracted to each other. Now, it feels like living with your best friend, without fear, uncertainty, or incompatibility. We liked each other from the beginning and continue to make each other laugh every day. Story 82. There are many comments that say marriage changes nothing and that the relationship stays the same. I have found it to be entirely the opposite. It will inevitably change. Whether for good or bad is never certain, and sometimes it is both. Story 83. Even with a person who is perfect for you, it takes effort. My husband is also my best friend. We have only had a couple of arguments in the decade we have been together, but it can still be challenging at times. It is important to respect your spouse, compromise, take turns, keep things romantic with dates, have fun together, and grow together. Always working towards something with your spouse helps keep things interesting and maintains a team spirit. Story 84. Your spouse should be your best friend, but not your only friend. People sometimes react with confusion when I mention going out with my friends and not including my husband, or vice versa. They are often surprised that we spend plenty of time apart doing our own things, with or without other people. I have hobbies and interests that I pursue without him, and so does he. We enjoy plenty of quality time together, but for some reason, some people think it is odd that we aren't constantly mooning over each other or that we can function and thrive independently. We also share the same wicked sense of humor, so people occasionally mistake us for being mean to each other when it's just how our sarcasm and inside jokes play out. We rarely, if ever, hurt each other's feelings over things like that. Story 85. Marriage feels right. Even if nothing changes in our day-to-day lives, there is something reassuring about the vows my wife and I have taken. My wife and I have been together since we were 18 and 19, so we have spent nearly our entire adult lives together. There wasn't anything obviously new or different in our lives after the wedding. However, as soon as we got in the car after the ceremony to drive to the reception, my wife told me she didn't realize how good it would feel to have finally exchanged our vows. So, unmarried people of Reddit, marriage is much more than just a piece of paper you sign. It's likely better than you think. Story 86. Building a life with someone who wants to see you happier than they are is truly rewarding. Can feel like a constant effort to make each other happy. You get out what you put in. But I wonder if marriage has changed anything for us if it isn't your ultimate goal. Times have changed. Find your person and enjoy life. Story 87. If you are upset with them, or if they are upset with you, or you are upset with each other, do not go to bed or anywhere without saying, "I love you," or giving a kiss. Story 88. Getting married won't make problems magically disappear. If you are having issues, discuss them before you tie the knot. Marriage won't solve them. Story 89. If you want your marriage to last, you have to stay together. This is not applicable if there is abuse or significant incompatibility, but otherwise, just decide that you are both going to stick it out. There will be lows and highs. Experience them together. The worst times will not remain that way. Everything cycles around. You cannot make someone stay who does not want to, but if both partners wish to have a lasting marriage, they can achieve it by simply not leaving. Additionally, consider using separate blankets while you sleep. Story 90. It's called a couple's mindset. When you are arguing, think about what you are trying to accomplish, what your partner's reaction will be, and if it is worth it. I often have the urge to say something or yell, but I know it will hurt my spouse. His well-being is more important to me than winning in that moment. It changed our communication drastically. Also, use I statements instead of saying "you're the worst." For example, say, "When you do that, I feel a certain way." Avoid blaming and shaming. Story 91. We have so much fun. It's literally the best thing in the world. My younger coworkers were shocked to find out that my husband and I were married, because they seem to think that married people don't have any fun. They assume all we do is bicker and have no intimacy while doing our taxes angrily at each other. Story 92. That big wedding you had, you will remember less than 10% of it in 10 years. Half the photos will have to be taken out because they have split up or you no longer get along. Save your money and do something meaningful for both of you. Flashiness is not better. Story 93. Spend time with them before getting married. Friendship, respect, and good communication are key. Story 94. The idea of someone being your perfect soulmate is unrealistic. One person cannot fulfill all your needs. It is too much of an expectation and creates pressure for the other person. It is essential to feel like a complete individual with or without a partner. If we rely on someone else to complete us and satisfy all our needs, we will likely be disappointed. It is important to be a well-rounded person with friends, hobbies, and interests of our own that bring us satisfaction. This coming summer, I will have been with my husband for 33 years, including 31 years of marriage, and it has worked for us. We are each other's best friends, but we are also complete individuals with our own hobbies, interests, and friendships. We do not expect each other to provide all the support and entertainment we need in life. Story 95. That "I'll do it later" really means I'll do it when I can't avoid it anymore. The secret is in the delay. It's an art form, really. Story 96. Sometimes what appears to be toxic and controlling to you may simply be a boundary with a history. Story 97. I'm always wrong. I've just accepted it. They never forget things. It still gets brought up 25 years later. Remember when you said that? Story 98. No one person should ever be everything to you, and vice versa. Maintain friendships and family relationships. Both partners should have other people in their lives who play important roles. A healthy marriage does not involve isolation. Story 99. Marriage is like a besieged fortress. Those who are inside want to get out, and those who are outside want to get in. Story 100. Learn to take an L every now and then. It doesn't matter who is right. You will not win every argument, and you will argue. Also remember, time can change you. Who you were 10 years ago is not who you are today. I'm sure many couples who got together 20 years ago never knew their marriage would end due to differences in politics. That's just one reason many people are choosing to part ways. Just one. Think of all the other reasons. Time. Enough of it will change you. Story 101. Changing your name to match your spouse's is not a one-time task. You will be handling this for the rest of your life on every application, license, or medical form. Initially, order a stack of marriage licenses so you hopefully never have to order them again. Story 102. Everything you don't match with the other person can be amplified significantly, and you'll also find things you didn't know would become issues. In essence, things you think are small could become big issues once you're married and living together. You can't just pack your bags and leave anymore. You are legally attached to that person. Story 103. Marry someone you can talk to like a friend, who is there for you as a partner when needed, and as a friend when needed. We have been together for over a decade and still spend more than 95% of our time together because we do not tire of each other. I am not saying everyone will want that in their relationship. That is fine, it works for us. The thing is, marriage or moving in together eventually shifts the expectations. Your time stops being as much romantic dating time, and a lot of it becomes hanging out time. Making a conscious effort to retain some of that romantic time is very important as well. But my main point is to find someone you enjoy doing nothing with. Story 104. There isn't a perfect standard. If you're at 80% overall, you're doing great. You won't always be there, and that's okay. Story 105. There will be times when you don't feel madly in love with your spouse. It's not always a fairy tale, and you won't always be over the moon happy. Marriage requires dedication. However, you can get through those times and realize that your partner is still the one for you. There will also be moments when it feels like the honeymoon phase all over again. Many people end their marriages when the passion fades or when things are neutral for a while. But emotions fluctuate in a long-term marriage. Story 106. Having children can significantly diminish even the strongest libidos. There is a good chance that soon after your marriage, one of you may experience a low libido for several years. Discuss this now and create a plan for how to address it when it occurs in the future. Story 107. Marriage and children will not fix anything. Life only gets harder as you take on more responsibility. When things get stressful, you experience loss and significant life events. You should emerge from these challenges having leaned on each other and come out stronger as a couple. Without mutual honesty and trust most of the time, the relationship is unlikely to last. Story 108. It's not supposed to be hard. Life is hard, but your relationship or marriage should not be. I've been with my husband for 14 years, and even during the extremely challenging times, every night feels like a sleepover with my best friend. Story 109. Get married if and when it feels right to you, and remember that looks different for everyone. Some people get married at the age of 22, while others do so after 40. Trust your instincts. Story 110. Continue dating each other. Being married doesn't mean you can take each other for granted. Also, ensure you maintain your individuality. Have what we call his friends, her friends, and our friends and interests. That way, when you come back to each other at the end of the day, you have more to discuss and appreciate about one another. Story 111. Just because you're married doesn't mean you can't treat each other like you're still dating. Go on spontaneous dinner dates, buy each other surprise gifts, and text each other good morning from the other room. When my husband leaves for work, I text him, "I miss you," all the time. He sends me selfies in his work truck. I take pictures of the cats to send, and we both talk about how cute they are. Your marriage is only as boring as you make it. We have fun every day, even if we don't do anything. Story 112. Your relationship with your partner must be a clear priority. This means your relationship with work, alcohol, drugs, your mother, and even your children must come second. While your children may be somewhat less important, your partner must come first. You should communicate this clearly and demonstrate it regularly. Story 113. Thought the answers would be more centered around what is actually affected by marriage. Like how you are viewed in the workplace, your in-laws' behavior, how to plan your wedding, whether you should splurge on your honeymoon, paternity leave, taxes, and even divorce. Things that are actually affected by the legally binding contract you both signed. You all are just giving regular relationship advice. You would think most people would have the common sense to not marry someone who makes them unhappy, but they keep doing it for some reason. The same goes for every type of relationship, to be honest. Marriage is simply dating someone and telling the government. It doesn't force you to suddenly live together, have kids, and have tacos on Tuesdays. You could, if you wish, get married and return to your respective apartments. So what should people actually know about marriage? Not as a relationship, but as a contract and how it impacts your life and the lives of others. Story 114. In no particular order. It's okay to splurge on your wedding day if you can comfortably afford it, and everything else that is more important afterward. The vows are important. Everything else in the wedding is just a party, but it can also be a really cool day and an awesome memory if you want it to be. Don't let people shame you for spending more or less than you comfortably want to spend. Spend time really getting to know someone before marriage. You should have had at least one proper fight to examine how you handle conflict. You need to be past the possible love bombing stage to determine if this relationship is genuine. Most people can't continuously wear a mask for more than 6 months in a relationship. Reach this phase before engagement. If you cohabit, whether before or after marriage, work out how best to protect yourself financially beforehand. The last thing you want is someone moving in and claiming access to your hard-earned premarital assets. You must be on the same page about potentially having children one day. You cannot compromise on this. You cannot have half a child. Don't just think about the present or the next 5 to 10 years. When you're in your 90s, will a happy, fulfilled life have involved parenting or not? If both of you are child-free by choice, that's great. If both of you want to have children, that's also great. If both of you are uncertain, that might be risky but could work out. It's essential to find out how far you lean in each direction. Establish domestic labor roles early, ideally before moving in together. If both of you work full-time, housework should be shared equally. If you have children and one of you is the primary breadwinner while the other is the stay-at-home parent, it isn't fair for one partner to work only 40 to 50 hours per week making money while the other works 168 hours per week providing childcare. Even when a parent is asleep, they remain on call. When you return home, your second shift starts, and you should co-labor with your partner. In this context, it is also important to supplement your partner's retirement fund due to the compounding loss incurred from not participating in the paid workforce during that time. If you need a divorce, see a counselor first, as they are often cheaper than lawyers to process the emotional aspects. Then consult a lawyer, even for one session, to understand your entitlements. Social and domestic labor are financially undervalued by our society, and divorce is one of the leading causes of poverty among middle-aged women. Consider seeing a marriage counselor trained in the Gottman method early, even just as a preventative measure to ensure effective communication. You can't change someone else's behavior, only your own. One thing you can do is communicate when and why you feel upset. Another is to genuinely feel remorse and take accountability for your actions when you are in the wrong. Agree in advance on who the safe people are outside of your marriage with whom you will debrief. You don't want toxic relatives, biased friends, or jealous ex-lovers providing input. However, social isolation is an important tactic in abuse, so it is vital to stay close to others who can say, "You're not okay, this is not okay," early on. Learn about all the different forms of domestic violence. Seek help early if you are experiencing it. Non-physical abuse often precedes physical abuse, which can escalate. Past behavior is a reliable predictor of future behavior, and individuals do not change without insight and appropriate interventions. Attempts at strangulation have a high predictive rate of leading to homicide. Abuse often escalates during vulnerable times, such as pregnancy and when leaving a relationship. Seek support to leave safely. Have friends beyond your spouse. Adjust your social calendar to accommodate both of your temperaments. For instance, if one of you is an introvert and the other an extrovert, the extrovert might organize social gatherings without the introvert. Similarly, if one of you expects daily visits from your parents while the other prefers monthly, you'll need to find a compromise together. If you have loving parents and your partner is no contact with theirs, understand that nobody makes this decision lightly. Their situation is not comparable to yours. Be grateful for your parents and trust that your partner has made the right decision for themselves. Create new experiences together. Plan dedicated time to do activities intentionally, or days of work and house duties can become weeks, months, and years, leading to growing apart because you are not building memories together. It can be challenging due to financial constraints, but find anything that is just the two of you or just you and your children if you have them and cannot find a babysitter. For example, you might take a walk together in a park. Learn to adjust your phone settings so that, apart from emergencies, most people cannot interrupt you during these times. Do not shame your partner because they lack knowledge or struggle in ways different from yours. Work out how to support them lovingly. Most people desire to be intimately known, cared for, and treated with mutual respect by their partners. What that care and respect looks like varies from person to person. Hopefully, you'll have discussed these matters before marrying. If not, now is the time to do so. Do not settle on essential issues. Being single and lonely is better than feeling lonely within a marriage. If your partner does not treat you with mutual care and respect, they are not the right one for you. If you have different sex drives, one of you needs to find a way to manage that, whether through masturbation or abstaining. It is not acceptable to pressure someone into anything other than enthusiastic consent. Feel free to discuss differences in libido if they are an issue, and consider seeing a counselor if necessary. However, this does not justify pressuring anyone to do something they have clearly declined. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.